and welcome to another episode of the Future Ready Librarian podcast, Leading from the Library. I'm so excited to have all of you here today, and I'm especially excited to have my good friend, Len Bryan, on the show. Hi.
Hey, Shannon. Sorry, my screen says Leonard. I just realized it was my legal name, but that's okay. I only get called Leonard when I'm in trouble.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I only know you as Len, so.
Oh, there we go. It'll be fine.
Oh, I'm so glad we had you on. I think it was season 1 we had you on, and we, at that time, I looked back at it actually last week, and we were talking about remote learning. And that's when you were in Colorado, you were in Denver, and I'm really excited today. And I asked Len to be on the show because Len has went back to Texas, and he'll tell you what he's doing, but he has went back into the library. So give us a little synopsis, a little snapshot of what's happening right now.
Yeah, so my little girl is 3.5 now, and her grandparents are, they're getting on up there, and grandma's having some health problems. So my wife and I made the tough call to move from Denver to Houston, Texas in the middle of the summer because we don't make good life choices. But we did it so that our little girl can be with her grandparents all the time. On the weekends, we see them so much more often than we did when we were in Denver. It was just logistics. It was just hard to get back and forth. So we decided to come back home to Texas. And at the same time, I had been in library administration since 2014. So many years, more years than I care to admit. And I really miss working with kids. I really miss working with students and teachers. So now I find myself at the Springwoods High School in Spring Branch ISD, just west of Houston, Texas. This high school has been around since 1965, but they just renovated the library, and it's amazing. And we'll drop a link to my website that has a welcome video from our principal when they did the virtual ribbon cutting for this library last spring. The videographers did way better job than I ever could have of sending pictures and stuff, but it's a beautiful space, and it's kind of a blank slate. So I get to kind of fill it with all the cool things that kids really want. And I've done a lot of work around, student voice and asking the students what they want out of the space. And they're just happy the doors are open and the lights are on and the books are here. And I've been so blessed that they're glad that I'm here, and they've been really welcoming to me. The teachers too have been very welcoming. So anyway, I miss working with kids, and I'm back. So
I was so excited to hear that you were going back to a library, and then to know that you went back to Spring Branch ISD, where I have lots of friends there, and just an amazing district. But I've seen some pictures when Len first wrote that where he was going, and just to see the library and to know what he has done, not only in the library, but as within education and an administrator. And so I'm really excited just to hear, because I know that, people that are listening, maybe they're new in a role, or they're thinking about moving. Maybe they're going to go back to, maybe they're in administration, or they're going in a classroom and they're going to go into a library. And so, gosh, what is your first thing that you wanted to do?
This has always been something I've struggled with whenever I start a new position. Anybody who has known me very long knows that I tend to get bored really quickly, and I tend to jump. And I've been a hopper since about 2014. Every couple of years, I do something new. And every time I started a new gig, I've always wanted to jump in with both feet and shake things up and really make a bunch of big changes. And this time I decided to try something different and spend less of my energy and time making a bunch of changes, and more of my time and energy listening to the people around me to find out what they wanted. So I spent a lot of time this summer when I first got here walking around, talking to the teachers that were here teaching summer school, talking to the students that were here, asking questions, asking about their previous experiences. What did you like? What would you like to see done differently? And all that. So I spent a lot more time listening this time than I ever had before. And I think the fruits of that have been good, because I'm not doing 1,000 projects at once. I'm really focusing on a handful of highly impactful things that have made the library space super welcoming and super student friendly. I had about 2 or 3 dozen students in here after school today, and I was like, I've got a podcast at 4. I need you guys to go. I need you guys to go. They're like, okay. They were so sweet, and they helped me lock the doors and stuff. So, and just having the foresight to stop and step back and let people tell me what they want, and create a space for them to share openly and honestly about what their previous library experience was like and how could I build on that or change it for the better. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is like to not necessarily go in with a bunch of preconceived ideas of what you should do, but to really listen to the people who've been there. This school's been open since 1965. It has a rich tradition of Roger Clemens went here, the baseball player. So we have a rich tradition, at the school, and I don't want to come in and upset the apple cart. I want to come in and have the library be a part of that, and not, the tail wagging the dogs, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, and just building that community. I mean, because that's what our libraries are all about. And
Right.
I know for me, when I go to school, I try to do that every single day, is just take a step back and listen and enjoy the people. And I think from also what we have been through in the almost last, 2 years, it has made me much more reflectful on my practice. Like
Yeah.
I think about, all the things, even just taking, it's okay if you don't get to that stack of books, or it's okay if things aren't, like I was dusting today in our library, and it's okay if somebody comes in, or a student needs something, or that a teacher needs a little break or help or something. And I do think that has really made me a better librarian and a better teacher too.
You hit the nail right on the head, because I mean, when the pandemic hit and we all had to go to remote, what
Mhm.
we missed the most, it wasn't labeling, it wasn't dusting, it wasn't, the task stuff. It was the relationships we had. It was a connection that we had with other people. And that's been really important to me, is to have a place where those connections can happen. And then also, not only just in the space that I'm in all day long, but also in the hallway, at the copy machine, all that stuff, to really emphasize those conversations and those connections over the 1,000,005 things that have to be done, all those little tasks.
Yeah.
So try to be like you. I've tried to take a step back and look at that perspective of like what really matters and what's really going to make a difference you know, in the library, yeah, but also in the lives of our teachers and kids. So the connection's it, and everything else doesn't matter if people don't come in the door, and they won't come in the door if they don't feel a connection.
That's
So,
right.
so yeah.
Especially those kids. So I bet the kids were really excited to have you come in and be their new librarian. How's that been going?
It's been really good. So the librarian who was here previously, it's so funny. They laugh when they see me, because she is about 5 feet tall and blonde, and just cute as can be, and really nice. I got to meet her this summer, and she's really sweet. But they walk in, and the students who hadn't darkened the doorway of the library since last year are a little taken aback, because first of all, I don't look like a librarian. They think I'm one of the football coaches. They think I'm here to hang sheetrock or something, you know. So that's always kind of a shock. And then I'll talk to them, and they'll go, "Oh, wait a minute, you actually do know something about books." I say, yeah, a little bit. I've read a few. So that initial surprise is still there. And I think that now that they have gotten to see my personality, I've done orientation for almost all of our English classes. Even the seniors came in and got an orientation the other day. So now that they've got to see my personality and stuff, I'm seeing the fruits of that, in terms of the students are here all the time. They're here in the morning. I open an hour before school. I'm here an hour after school. They're here during lunch. It's just cuckoo bananas. But they're starting to see that I welcome them. I want them to be here. I'm not going to run around and shush you. As long as you're being respectful, hang out and do what you want to do. And they appreciate that. I think they need that third place. It's not the classroom. It's not your house. It's a third place for you to be, and to be yourself, and to see yourself in the books and displays and stuff. So yeah, they've been great. Again, they're coming out of the pandemic. So a lot of, especially our freshmen, are having a hard time getting used to being back at school and understanding that you can't just run wild, but they're starting to figure it out. So here we are approaching October. We've been in school now for almost 6 weeks, and they're starting to figure it out. But it takes time. Freshmen are always a little squirrely. So, but ours are especially so this year. But yeah, I think they've been really welcoming, and the senior office aides, I have office aides every period. And I've got them now to the point where they can run the circulation desk for me, and I don't have to intervene hardly ever. So it's really nice because they've really taken ownership of the space and have done displays, and have really come into their own in terms of good customer service, greeting people when they walk in and asking how they can help and all that. So yeah, they're starting to see it as theirs, which is a great feeling.
That's awesome. Yeah, which is what you want it to be, right?
Yeah,
Their
for sure.
library. So I'm sure you have lots of readers. So, and I know you love to read. So when you
Absolutely.
came in, did you get to have you ordered lots of books? Have you done lots around collection development? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
Funny story. So the district renovated the space. They just opened it this spring, and when they put they had to put most of the collection in storage because there wasn't room to shelve it. 2/3 of the collection got wet in storage and was destroyed and was lost. So yeah, I've had to do a lot of collection development. My library now only has about 4,000 books, and I'm a school of 2,000 students. So yeah, the construction services coughed up a significant chunk of change to replace the books that they damaged or destroyed through improper storage. So that's been nice. I did a lot of that in August, a lot of list building, and everything's on order. I think I've got about 3,000 books on order. So I'm just waiting. With supply chain shortages and everything is taken forever. And I'm anxiously awaiting that first set of boxes to come. And we're going to have an unboxing party. We have a book club, and they're gonna come. I'm gonna get all my office aides out of class, whatever period they come, and we're gonna have a big unboxing party. And of course, all of my frequent flyers will be here, and we'll they'll stamp books, and they get first choice. So they'll have a great time with the new books. But yeah, it's been a lot of collection development. At the end of this process, we should have one of the newest collections in the district, just in terms of copyright year and all that stuff. So I'm not replacing reference books from the 60s. So, we're moving on from that. But yeah, right now the shelves are pretty bare, and it's kind of depressing, but we'll fill them up with stuff that the students actually want to read. And I'm really tapping in. I mentioned student voice earlier. Every orientation class that I've had, I've given them these little hexagons, and I'll send you the link to put. I think I may have it in the document, but I have this little hexagon hole punch, and it's great for organizing your thinking. And I'm using that as my post-it notes for students to write down recommendations. So they've been writing down recommendations for books for me to buy, for technology that they want to see, for even more comfy furniture, even though we have a ton of it, decorations, programs, whatever they want to see in the library. So I've taken all those to heart, and everything they've recommended is on one of those ordering lists. So yeah, I think they'll be really excited when stuff finally starts rolling in.
Oh my gosh, they're gonna love it. That's, blessing in disguise, right? And so you
right, absolutely.
do your own. Are you guys a one-to-one district?
Yes. Yeah, we went one-to-one after when the pandemic hit. We had that a lot of districts had were carts, and we had Chromebooks and carts and things like that. And then we've managed to use, through CARES Act and all that stuff, we've managed to get a Chromebook in every student's hands. So yeah, we're one-to-one. So I've been able to really push our ebook platforms and really push our databases. And I'm doing a lot of research instruction now, which is my bread and butter. I love that. That's like my favorite library thing to do, is teach students how to use databases and electronic resources. So yeah, and while we're waiting, my kids are chomping at the bit, and I'm showing, we have all these ebooks. You can do that while you're waiting. And they're like, it's not the same. Understand, sometimes that feeling of a print book in your hand can't be replaced by something.
Yeah, it can't be
stare at the screen all day. So yeah, I totally empathize with them. But yeah, these students, more than a lot of the students I've been around previously, really want that print book, more organic feeling than, again, staring at the screen for a few more hours a day. So,
yeah, especially now that they have been through the pandemic, and now that they're one-to-one. I find that with all of my kids, little and older too, that they really want to Me too. I like reading
Me
ebooks,
too.
but
Yeah.
I like holding a book in my hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Ebooks are convenient, but there's something to be said for that more organic feeling of holding that print book and having the bookmark and all those little routines and rituals that we have
Yeah,
that make reading
definitely.
special.
I think one thing too that pops into my mind, and as I work with like other librarians, not just within my district, but around the country, like I often hear, just the like, how do you create those relationships, not only with your students, but with your teachers?
Mhm.
And you being brand new, what are the things that you do? I mean, and you work with a lot of teachers if you have 2,000 kids. And so
Yes.
as you start creating those relationships and building that base just for collaboration, what does that look
Mhm.
like?
It varies. It really depends on the teacher. A lot of our teachers are well, all of our teachers, right, are just extremely busy and don't have a lot of time. The good news is that the library has resources that they can't find anywhere else. I mentioned before we started recording that we have these flexible classrooms upstairs, and our teachers schedule themselves into those all the time. And part of my just organizational hacks is you know working with them on, hey, do you need a co-teacher for this? Do you need this or that? And a lot of times it's just walking in to check on them while they're in the space, and just seeing if students need help with any work that they're working on, if teachers need help with technology or anything like that. I'm also fortunate in that our tech facilitator and I are department chairs for our electives team. So we help all of the elective teachers, and that's a big chunk of our teaching body. It's all the fine arts and CTE and athletics and everything. So a lot of our teachers are elective teachers. Yeah, so our electives PLC is a huge group of teachers, and the fun thing is they get to teach the subjects that students are excited about. They're not the core academic subjects that you have to take to graduate. They're the stuff that you want to take. So it's your journalism and yearbook and all that. So I have been doing a lot of PD with them in terms of teaching them how to use technology tools, databases, and all that stuff. And they've been so great about asking for help and just getting those collaborative juices flowing. And then for everyone else, I think the biggest thing that I've done is just smile and say hi when they walk in. And I think for a lot of teachers, especially in a high stress environment like a high school, a lot of teachers are just relieved, and you can almost see them relax when they walk in, because I'm going to greet them with a hi or maybe a really bad dad joke or something, to try to lighten their mood, especially if I see that they are stressed out. When you have your shoulders up and all that stuff, you can kind of tell. So I really try to be just as jovial as I possibly can and prioritize that relationship and that camaraderie over whatever task it is I'm working on when they come in. I don't want anyone to feel like they've been interrupted. So whether it's a teacher or a student or a parent or anybody, I want them to feel like, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm really glad you chose to come to the library today. So
Yeah, and that's great advice, I think, for people starting new jobs or anyone that's been in a library. And we're so focused right now too on just how everyone is, checking in with people. It goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, and just making sure that we're there for each other, I think, is one
yeah,
of the most important things right now. And to see them
absolutely.
come in and have a smile on their face when they leave, or if they're feeling sad or stressed, or we're all feeling all these emotions, and it's just a great place, I think, the library to have. But I know for me, I can't wait to see what you do in the library, and I'm so excited that you're back in, and I'm so excited for your kids and your teachers and just your community. But as we kind of wrap this conversation up, I think, since this topic is, people starting new positions, or for you, going back into the library. So what would be like if a brand new librarian is listening to this and they're 6 weeks into their school year, what advice, first of all, would you just give them? Like,
Take a look at all the stuff that you're doing and put down 2 or 3. Stop doing 2 or 3 things. And that's something that in education in general, we always want to do more with less. And I was teaching in class this morning. I was teaching our year one music appreciation students. about time-saving tricks and hacks, things like Control F and that sort of thing. And I kept telling them, time is the one resource you can never make more of. You can make more of anything else, but not time. So anything that you can do to save your time is going to pay real dividends in the long run. And as I was teaching them databases research, I was showing them keyboard shortcuts and things like that. So to me, for a new librarian, new teacher, new anyone, or even if you're an old librarian like me and you're new to a role, it's really easy to pick stuff up. It's really difficult to put things down. And one of the things that I explained to the principal when I interviewed and when I started my first week is, I'm going to tell you no a lot. And the reason I'm telling you no is only so that I can maintain enough headspace to do a really good job. That's something I had posted on Twitter a while back, like a reminder. Someone had asked the question, what does a new teacher need to know in order to become really proficient? And my response was, it takes 3 to 5 years in a given job to become proficient, to become really good at it. And when you're new, it's really tempting to want to sponsor every club. It's really tempting to coach every sport. It's really tempting to stay after school and do tutoring till 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. It's really tempting to try to be the Instagram teacher where everything is beautiful and perfect. And some of those things may be wonderful, but I would caution anybody that's new to a role. This is year 24 for me. I'm not new to anything really at this point, but I am new here at the school. And that's something that I've empowered myself to do, is just say no. And I didn't sponsor book club, even though the librarian should probably sponsor book club. I'm like, we have a teacher who does it. She does a fantastic job. They don't need me. I'll pick it up next year. So it's really important to give yourself permission to say no and not feel guilty about it, and let things go that don't have a direct impact on student achievement, that don't have a direct impact on building those relationships and making life easier for your teachers or your admin or your community, or making your life easier. I outsourced my inventory to my library aides. Our inventory for the year is done. It doesn't hurt that we only have like 4,000 books. It's pretty quick, but my library aides did all of it because I don't have to stand there and physically scan every barcode. It's not necessary for me to do that. It's not skilled labor. It's not something that you need a master's degree to do. And letting that stuff go and not being meticulous about it and not being my usual very type A self about it has been very freeing. So it frees me up to do other things. So the long and short of it, you know what happens, Shannon? You ask me a question, I'll give you a thesis for an answer. But the long and short of it is, say no to stuff, figure out what you can put down. The place is not going to burn down. The library is going to continue to run if you let a few things go. You don't have to do every programming idea you see on Twitter. You don't have to do every display. You don't have to change displays every 6 weeks. Leave it up. It's fine. Let some of that stuff go, especially the really time-consuming stuff and the stuff that requires a lot of emotional energy, in favor of the things that really have a stronger impact. So, yeah, that's me. I'm trying to practice a lot of self-care, and is a big part of that.
I think that's a great thing and great advice. And I always love our conversations. I always leave smiling. So I can just
me too. So there you go.
I can just imagine what they feel when they leave your library. But tell us how we find you and your work on social media so people can find you after this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm most active on Twitter. I have accounts and other platforms, but really my work related stuff is on Twitter, and it's Len, Len Bryan 25. It's my high school basketball jersey number. I got to keep it alive. Len Bryan was already taken. And that's me on Twitter. And, that's kind of where I hang out in social media world. And, I'll tweet out some links to like the library website. I'm pretty proud of that, even though it's very much a work in progress. And a lot of the stuff that we talked about is available in that library website. So, I'm happy to share resources.
That'd be great. Yeah. And we'll put that in the description too, but everybody follow Len and the amazing job he's going to do. And thank you so much for joining.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure.
I know, right? Yeah. Thanks so much, Shannon. I love getting a chance to talk to you, and I'm glad that we were able to get
to. I know. I can't wait to come visit your library.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. It'll be fun.
I know. Well, thank you everybody
Yeah.
for joining us, and a big thanks to Follett for being a sponsor of our podcast too. And so we'll talk soon, and we'll see you later, Len.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, friend. Thank you for joining us for the Future Ready Librarian podcast, Leading from the Library. I would like to also thank our sponsor, Follett Learning, for their amazing continued support.